Our impromptu episode. Thought about this on the whim of the trade. So as the trade happened, if anybody knows with the NBA, and this is how powerful the NBA is, you get these trades that happen out of nowhere, and it causes how do you say, a kerfuffle, so to speak. I don't even know how to spell that, but it causes a kerfuffle, and I done messed it up saying it, but regardless, it causes a stir, and people immediately talk about it. But this time it's a trade simply based on what has been rumored for years. And I'll talk about the Wizards organization as well because now they want to say rebuild process. Okay, it's been a rebuild process since Wes Unsled. Dude, I might be dyslexic. I really starting to believe that. Wes Unsled was there. All right. Since Javaris Curitin, yo, I'm butchering names. Since Javaris Creatine, that's probably not how you announce it, but that sounds better than what I said before. Just brought guns on given arenas and almost said something wild I can't say here. They've been in a rebuilding stage, but I'll get to the Wizards in a short period of time. So on Sunday afternoon of all times, which is wild to say, but obviously right now that's not going to stop the MLB and the WNBA from being looked at every now and then. And this is coming from a guy that watches both the MLB and the WNBA. We're people aren't tapped in like that, and there's no disrespect. It's just come on. But this is the off season for fans in general that are fans of the major sporting events like NBA, football, of course, and you know preseason starts the beginning of August, so around next month is when training camp starts. OTAs are about to start right now if they haven't already. So we're getting, pardon me, we're getting close to NFL season starts. So this is like the dry point of it. So on Sunday, as I was recording, and I'm surprised I'm doing this just because I did three things in one day, but that's not to put myself over. That's the normal with me on Sundays. Of all places, that's supposed to be a rest day, but this is why I tell people there's no such thing as rest days because I have none. I don't know what a rest day is even on a Sunday, but nonetheless, during that time I'm recording and uh, the trade happens. So the trade happens as of 3 p.m. I want to say Eastern Standard Time, 4 p.m. somewhere around there. Might be a little bit more than that, but I feel like it was 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Nonetheless, it happens. So if you've seen what was going on with Adrian Waronowski, it's crazy I could say that, but I couldn't say them other two names, and I'm recording this on Juneteenth. Happy Juneteenth, everybody. I'm able to say his name, and Shams, he usually gets he gets the news ahead of time before Adrian now, but that's fine. That's how it works, man. Sometimes the younger guys are gonna take over for the older guys, and that's just the way this is. Like again, I've said this I think last year. Eventually, it's gonna be somebody that over exceeds me if they haven't already, which that's cool. I don't mind that, but my resume is what my resume is, and I don't mind helping people either. But that's nonetheless. Excuse me too. Let me sound a little enthusiastic about all this stuff, but me and how I work, you should know this by now. If you're tapped into this podcast, new partner banks, don't ask me the number. That should be my go-to quote. Don't ask me the number just because I'm unaware of it. But I I sound like this all the time. Sound like Black Dynamite. I am smiling. So the trade, going back to the trade, yeah, that was me smiling right there. That break point right there, that was me smiling. So going back to that trade, it was just you know it prior to that it was being rumored that the trade was going to happen. I mean, Bradley Beal is always in these trade talks all the time. It's the meme that's hilarious where it's always the Lakers and the Lakers has him in the back or Damian Leonard and all these other players. And, for years it's always been with that horrible organization because the Wizards are a horrible organization. They will cash you out because, as I'm saying, this Bradley Beal still owed 203 million. So the Suns are definitely going over the luxury tax. But the owner doesn't care. He's in this let's win now mentality, but yeah, slow down. And I'll get there too. So you had the trade that happened. It happened, and I figured, after the season ends, you can immediately start doing trades. But for it to happen this fast kind of was surprising. It was days prior that he was back in trade talks, and they said between the Heat and the Suns, preferably it would have been great if he would went to the Heat, but it seems to be with the Heat. Obviously, they got the 5 games in the finals, and this is coming from the play-in tournament. So with them, it doesn't matter. I feel like they'll get another power player, but for the Heat organization, it's always the case of we'll win regardless, and that's what's shown. Just because if you look at when they got to the finals in 2020, it's Tyler Hero and Jimmy Butler, and it's unfortunate that they got that far because Tyler Hero got cashed out and he's been mid since then. But that's always happens with these great white hope players that American, I should say that because I'll get to Big Joker in a minute. And this European man got everybody's shit, but that's nonetheless. So the trade was rumored days before when it actually happened. It was like, okay, this is for me. It was just another summer of Bradley Beal being in trade talks. And then I want to say the night before, which was like a Saturday night, it seemed like it was getting more serious. It was just like, all right, maybe this is serious this time. And then something happens and the trade happens. Again, it was between the Heat and in the Suns, and I'm just glad it's not the Lakers. I had to really think about that. Just I had to take a beat because I'm always happy because the Lakers don't do anything. I can I can have a whole episode about how much I hate the Lakers, and then break down how horrible that organization is. Since Dr. Bus has passed, dude, his kids have no idea what to do. Be it that Rob Palinker, as Stephen A. Smith said. Now he says Rob Palenka or something like that, but he put the emphasis on Palenka. Even though that's Rob's last name, he put emphasis on Palenka. It's like he sounds Palenka or something, but he doesn't sound like that. Obviously, he has a New York accent. So I'm always happy when the Lakers don't get anything out of a deal. Always happy about that. Thank you. Keep up the good work, organization. I feel like they just freezing them out. But he did do well being Rob Palenka during the trade deadline. They got Jared Van Vliet, if I'm not mistaken. Jared Van Vliet, if that's how you enunciate his name. D'Angelo Russell, it was just like, all right, we got to get another point guard other than Russ. And at that point, they could have kept Russ. At least he would have got some type of effort. So, and yeah, good luck with them this summer. Because I thought Chris Paul, who was involved with the trade with Bradley Beal, him and Landry Shamer, I thought, it was a possibility that he'll finally be on the Lakers, being Chris Paul. And, he'll be on the same team as Braun, who was, one of his mans. And I'm not going to say the type of crew they used to be in because it's just like, all right, bro. White people really love that. There's some niggas on the raft. So I won't talk about that. I ain't calling no crew what the name is. Nah, we don't do that. But now of course, it's a buyout for Chris Paul being on the Wizards. That's not going to happen. So right now, it's mentioned that he'll end up on the Clippers, which is a reunion. That's fine. He's 19 years in this league. Yeah, 18. I'm sorry. So it'll be his 18-year, uh, or 18. They say 19. So basically 19. Yeah, it will be his 19th year in the NBA coming up. So to be back on the team that didn't make him popular, but I think that's what solidified him as a Hall of Famer. He was all defensive first team selection, all NBA first team selection. I think he was all NBA twice and all defensive first team like twice. Steals leader, I think he was averaging like 2.1 steals, which is crazy. So it's not to say that the Hornets didn't make him the star he was going to be because obviously he became an all star. Um, I mean, they got slaughtered. If I'm not mistaken, that 2008, yeah, that 2008 playoffs against the Nuggets, they lost by like 50 points one game. If I'm not mistaken, I mean, obviously it was just Melo on the Nuggets with other weapons. I want to say that was actually '09, but one of those years, regardless, I know Monty Williams was the coach at one point, if I'm not mistaken. I should look this stuff up, but I'm going off the top of my head, pause, just to remember. And then Willie Green was his teammate, but now Willie Green is the coach for the Pelicans, which is amazing. Everything comes full circle. So for Chris Paul to go to the team, if that's the case after a buyout happens with the Wizards, and I mean he lives in LA, he goes to the Clippers, which made him, a bona fide Hall of Famer when he got to the team with Lob City, a more popular team than the Lakers at that point. That's pretty good. But I asked the question: will Russ still go with that rookie's bet? Because it was Saturday, if I'm not mistaken, I saw an article saying that they were offering him the vest minimum, which is $2.1 million. Uh, I'm not pocket counting anybody. I'm not in business. But if it were me, I would say take the deal. Reason being is the league wants Russ out of there. That's how it works with the league. All right, that's how it works with sports. It's not about what have you done, what have you done. It's about what have you done for me lately. And of course, he's on the decline right now. And because he played on the Lakers and it was a buried job, the media buried him. So now, if he didn't get picked up by the Clippers, he definitely would have been out the league. I think now, I'll just say this. I feel like some team will give him a look, but it's reminiscent of AI when he went from the Nuggets to the Pistons to the Grizzlies and then back to the 76ers and his career was done. It's reminiscent of that now. Just because it's like, dude, you haven't changed your game. Obviously, he's fine with coming off the bench. So that might help Russ. But at the same time, it's like, I feel like it's best just to stay home. Of course, he's from LA. Play with the Clippers. Y'all did well. You did well in that system. Stay on there. I don't know the cap space of the Clippers. That's crazy. I was thinking about looking it up before I even recorded this, but I didn't. So, yeah, I guess I'm not good at being a journalist at this moment. But I feel like they have the cap room. It's the same thing like I'm saying with the Suns owner. Steve Ballmer is another one. I'll spend the money. We'll go over the luxury tax. I'll spend the money. I'll take care of it just because I got it. And because they really care about winning and they love the team. So let's say Chris Paul goes there. More than likely it'll be on the best minimum as well. The team that they have right now is pretty solid. I mean, they got some pieces. They got Eric Gordon. They have a team. It's just again since 2009, teen. It's always been okay. What's going on with Paul George and Kawhi? Be it that the pandemic happened, so they didn't have a lot of time to gel together, and then the years have gradually passed by, and it's like they're getting older. Kawhi knees seem to be bad, or one of them seems to be bad. Paul George is just gonna be Paul George. We know who Paul George, and it's not to bury him. We just know what they expect. When he's playing, and he's on. He looks like an all star. Then it just seems to be every winter he gets hurt, and that's it. And then year before this, Kawhi missed the entire year. So again, it's all up to health. But let's say a Chris Paul with Russ coming off the bench, and by some miracle, Paul George and Kawhi can stay healthy. That's the team I'll be looking at. Again, I'll get to Joker in a minute. Back to the trade. So the trade happens, and it's like okay, that's what it really is. That's what it feels like. Of course, it's nothing to really talk about the sports right now. So the analysts are just kind of like, all right, how does this work? This line up. Obviously, they have no money for a bench. That's the biggest problem that the Suns faced after the Kevin Durant trade, which is still crazy because it happened like 3 a.m. Everybody was sleeping. 3 a.m. happens before the trade deadline ended, and yet Kevin Durant was on the Suns. It's like, dude, who's going to rebound? Because DeAndre, you just can't. And of course, they keep DeAndre, but it's just like, how do you, how do you make this work? And it's one basketball. And that's what I kept saying with the team that they have now. So you got DeAndre, and with this team, he's definitely going to decline even more. It's because he's a young player. He didn't want Monty Williams on the team, and then it's like Frank Vogel is more defensive minded. How do you make this team work with one basketball, and you got three guys who can get their own shot, who can shoot the three? Yes, they can create their own shot, but it's just like, dude, how do you make this work? So I saw a projected lineup of putting Devin Booker at the one. It's like, yeah, they've tried that before, dude. He shouldn't be the dominant ball handler, especially now because you got a Bradley Beal. Like, are y'all just gonna make him a spot up shooter? And then Kevin Durant just does Kevin Durant things. And then again, what happens with DeAndre? And then what happens when players get tired is the main thing. And then what happens, especially if Kevin Durant starts to feel hurt again. So you got Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, and DeAndre, which is still a nice little lineup. But again, the bench. They have no money for a bench. So me and Eve were talking about, shouts out to Eve for Black Announce Table. Hey man, you might just want to look at some G League players. You like just need a total bench. You need a point guard, unless you're gonna keep Devin Booker at the point, which you might have to anyway because Bradley Beal is on the three. Put him at the two. Okay, still you need a backup one. Like Cameron Payne is not your savior. You need a one, a backup one. You need everything. Like for the most part, they got everything. Shouts out to, I forgot his name, Damien. I think it's Damien that won the championship with the Warriors. You got him that could play backup three. But again, Bismack Biyombo was like your five. Dude, when I saw Bismack Biyombo come off the bench for the Suns, I said, yo, he's still in the league. Legit, and I'm not even joking. I haven't seen Bismack Biyombo play since the Hornets. That's the last time I seen him, man. He was snapping. I think he was averaging like 1.2 blocks a game. So this team, I won't overanalyze, obviously, because it's a trade that just happened, and all the trades and signings happen usually after the draft, and I believe the draft is in 3 days too. So, of course, Big Vic about to go number one because you gotta be an idiot not to get him. You don't. They don't make 7'4" players every day that dribble the ball, that shoots and plays like a shooting guard. They could dribble. It's nothing you can do with that. And then apparently they said, "Oh no, he good. His foot. Yeah, don't worry about that. He is working because big players are. It's always a concern with their lower bodies pause. But apparently he gonna be all right. They said he could. He working on his foot. How you work on your foot, I don't know. He got some air monarchs in France. Ha ha ha. We. I got monarchs. I don't know. I know that was horrible still. So for him, he'll be the first overall pick without question. So we don't know, going back to the Suns, we don't know how everything plays out. We definitely don't know. I won't do ever over analyzation because that's not for me to do, and I hate doing that. But I will just say again, you know, let's see what happens. Uh, so you already know what happened after that. How much hashtag? How much more help does Kevin Durant need? Which leads me to a point. I'll say this. Usually I don't leave with love. I'm usually the type of person I leave with hate, then go to love. And this won't be so much hate. It's just, Kevin Durant is one of my favorite players ever. But I understand why people would say that. But I'll also say, what if you're in a position where you can make your own calls like that? Because this is obviously you could tell by his haircuts or lack of haircuts. And I'm not one of these people to look at people's grown men's hairline. That's not for me to do. I feel like that's weird. Like you gotta find something to talk about when it comes to somebody. Hey man, that's for the women. It's for the bitches. All right. I'm gonna say that. But I will say I understand what people mean by that. But I will again defend him, and maybe I'm being biased in this sense of what if you got the keys to make certain decisions? Like, or maybe he just has real good luck. I thought about that too. What if these teams he goes to has really good luck, and it's just like, all right, everything just falls in place, and you get these all stars because it just happens. I mean, because think about Brooklyn, and I mean he's not the GM. Also, think about Brooklyn. Him and Kyrie agreed to go to Brooklyn. That was fine. DeAndre Jordan was like they starting center too, so it just he eats up cap room when he goes to his team, which is fine because he's a high demand player, so he's going to get that money for it. Goes to Brooklyn, they get James Harden. Now he's with the Suns, and they Chris Paul was already there, Devin Booker, so it's like, and then now Bradley Beal, and obviously Chris Paul is gone. Like that's not like look, like people was like he played with Russ. Pause. Yeah, they got drafted to the same team. That's just how stuff works out. Went to Golden State after that. Well, they lost in the finals, even though they had the highest scoring, not highest scoring record, but the best record in NBA history, and still lost in the finals. So he went there after they lost, helped them win two. Then after that, dipped and went to Brooklyn. And this is after 2019 when he got the Achilles tear. He was like, all right, I'm about to just go to Brooklyn instead of staying the course. That's not an issue. That sounds like to me, it's just an opportunist. It's just like cashing in money in the bank. You feel me? Like, oh, somebody losing? Cool. Let me just go over here and get this opportunity. So that's me being biased too, again, because Kevin Durant is one of my favorite players ever. But I don't see a problem with it. And he's not the GM again. Obviously, the GM has to make the decision. They're probably asking these players, like, yo, what do you want to do? Like, legit, the only thing I hate is when coaches get fired, especially with this system that they about to have now. I'm not saying Frank Vogel isn't a good coach. I mean, obviously, he's gotten the Eastern Conference Finals with the Pacers, and this is without Danny Granger. It's Paul George, Roy Hibbert, who disappeared a couple times. Like, it's back to back series from 2014, 2013, or more so, I'm tripping, 2014, where he was the first center since like 1952 to not get a rebound, which is insane to say. Like, dude, you 7 foot, put your hands up. But that's a whole conspiracy theory on its own, and nobody talks about it. And, the rumor is Polio P was out here poking peas. So, but this ain't the shade room. Just saying there's something to that. I would have grabbed 20 rebounds. I don't care about the bitch. That sounds sexist, but I'm telling y'all, this is how my mindset is. Don't give me a couple mil. I'm thinking about this now, bro. So don't give me meals. Anyhow, I don't want to sound like 50-50 split podcast. But going with this trade again, I feel like, all right, we'll see what happens. But it's one basketball. Monty Williams isn't there anymore. I feel like his system will work best compared to a Frank Vogel defensive system. But again, let's see how things play out. We are on the, what, 2 weeks removed from the NBA season, and everybody's shit. I love this though. It's the same when LeBron won the title, and everybody's like, "No, we gotta do something to beat him." Like when he won in 2013, and they put an older Paul Pierce on the Brooklyn Nets, and KG and Joe Johnson and Durant is like, "Uh oh, here we go." Like at this point, KG and Paul Pierce is like 15 years into their career, if not more. Like, all right, no, that's not gonna happen. He still got cut by the Heat. So it's all right. I'll say this because obviously Joker is a generational talent. It's gonna be a long time before we see a guy that's about 7 foot, 300 some pounds. I keep saying 260. That man ain't 300, ain't 260. And I'm not body shaming. I said he's built like a World of Warcraft fan, but that's besides the point. But I'm not body shaming at all. So he's 300 some odd pounds, 7 foot, and can pass like a point guard and scores on you like Kevin McHale. I've heard people say Hakeem. I understand why they would say that, but it's more so Kevin McHale. It's like, yo, what do I do with this? These hokey pokey type offensive moves where it's just it doesn't look good, but it works very well. It's going left to right with your arms up and all right, cool, layup. It's like I'm gonna make sure that you get wins again. Nobody has really done trades yet or signees, but it's pointing to the West saying, okay, we got to do something different, and y'all still gonna get cooked. You can get Bradley Bill. We'll see how the bench plays out. You nobody has a better bench in the West compared to the Nuggets. And Mike Malone, while sounding like Paul Wall at the ceremony or the parade in Denver, sounded just like Paul Wall. Like, yo, everybody gonna stay here. First of all, I've heard Mike Malone speak. All right, never heard him speak like that. Look, make sure you put Anthony Davis in there and sit him in there for at least 3 hours a day. Do that. Give him some stem cells because you're gonna need that help from him as well. And then again, they got to figure out their point guard situation. But again, it's early, but you know that man got him shook. If people were making moves this fast, which is fine because generational talent has people doing things like that in order to succeed, but it still won't work. I feel like this team could probably repeat again. Definitely could repeat again. And other than that, the Chris Paul situation, I'm kind of thinking about it in hindsight. Like I feel like this dude get either he has bad luck or people just really hate him. And I wouldn't say that just because they giving this a try. I think he got to the team. Yeah, it was 2020 after he got the Oklahoma City Thunder during the bubble. After he got him to the second round, of course, got beat up. Him and Dennis Schroeder were like the 1 and 2, which is crazy. Like the shortest 1 and 2 combo since Ty Lawson and Randy. Damn it, I messed up. Ty Lawson and I forgot. I forgot my damn UNC players. Oh, Raymond Felton, legend. Fat man Raymond Felton. So two UNC greats were on the team for the Nuggets, which was great to play as them on. I think it was like NBA 2K8 somewhere around that. Uh, you could put them at the 1 and 2. Felt like it was somewhere around that. Whenever, I think it's when Allen Iverson left. I got my years mixed up, but that was a great team to play. Both small, they couldn't guard anybody, but yo, you buckets all day in that game. So with Chris Paul, he's been on a team, yes, for 3 years since the fall of 2020, or not even for 3 years because the bubble. I mean, and pandemic messed up stuff. So after the season was over is when he got there. So basically 2020, 2021. So 2 years. Let's just say two and a half years again on that team. That's perfectly fine. They got to the finals for the first time since 1993. Obviously didn't make it just because they went against Giannis. Yeah, it's just, it's 2 years. It was successful. I felt, because if you look at his jerseys, it's just like, okay, he's been with the Hornets, the Clippers, I feel like the Rockets, that worked out pretty well. OKC, the Suns, and potentially the Clippers. That's not bad. But I just feel as if because of maybe the injuries, they just don't give him time to really. And maybe it is enough time. I don't know. But I feel like he should get a little bit more time to really see because a lot of these teams he goes to, they do switch out players. It's a lot of switching of players. Every team he's been on, for the most part, except for the Hornets, where it's just like they got different pieces. Him as a pass guard, I mean, what is it? Pure point guard. He can shoot, he can score. He's average 15 for his career, 18 for his career. Yeah, 18.5 points per game for his career. Like 11 assists, if I'm not mistaken. So they switch out players and he's trying to figure out exactly how they place in the system. And obviously he's getting them the basket or the ball pause where they need to be in order to score. But how many times has he had dependable players other than, when he's healthy. It hasn't been too many times where he's had other players that are dependable as him or all stars as him. Again, he made David West an all star and Tyson Chandler an all star, like in 2008, if I'm not mistaken. When you think of those two players, do you think of all star? And there's no disrespect to them, but you kind of don't think of them as all stars. Made him an all star. It's these teams he's been on for the most part where players are inconsistent. Obviously, Blake Griffin injuries and everything in between. DeAndre Jordan injuries, been an all star. So it's always these front court players for the most part. He makes all stars. He hasn't played it too many up until if you really think about it, other than James Harden, and then when you get to the Suns, it's like I've played on teams with bona fide Hall of Famers, but for the most part, everybody has been an All Star because I helped them become an All Star, or it was just having a great season. So people will probably get on me for defending Chris Paul, but I try to look at the spectrum, so to speak, of everything. I try to look at everything in different diameter, so to speak. So who knows? But he'll go to the Clippers. More likely that's gonna happen. And then if Russ is on the team, who is the most consistent, injured or not, he kind of plays. Well, not kind of. He plays, and that's always been a problem with people. He plays. He goes 0 to 100. But if he's not on the team and it's just Chris Paul, if Chris Paul goes, Paul George and Kawhi, that'd be a great team for all of 10 games. Like for 10 games, that's gonna be great. It's not gonna be a bunch of fast breaks, but it's gonna be great in that tie and lose system. But again, that's three people that's always hurt. Chris Paul definitely at the end of towards the end of his career, if not at the end of his career, who did look cooked. I will say that when the Suns season first started, I was like, yeah, this might be the it. This might be the end. So now, this is on that team with those other two players. Yeah, we'll see how that plays out as far as being healthy and playing together. But they can make it work. Right. I don't think they beat the Nuggets, but they'll give them a fit. I'll say that. And then we'll see what happens with the Suns. And, hopefully the Lakers don't make the play in. But more likely they will. Just because John Morant is only, pat on the hand. David Stern would have gave him 2 years probation from the league. 25 games is a vacation for him for what he did. Like 25 games, yo? And you a multi-millionaire? I'll take that. You're not getting paid for 25 games, but that's fine. You're still a millionaire. Pretty good. I'm not gonna hold you. So, yeah, then for 25 games too, the Grizzlies definitely, yeah. If they make the play in, I'll be surprised. So this might be open season. We might see the Spurs make this. I ain't gonna go that far, but yeah, that'd be funny if the Spurs make the play in because of what happens with the Grizzlies. Like 25 games, it's like, dude, Desmond Bain gonna have to be our go-to player. Him and Jaren Jackson. And they're two good players. They both play defense. Obviously, Jaren Jackson was Defensive Player of the Year. They play defense. They play hard. That's all you can expect. Pause. But no, Ja, who is your central piece for scoring? We'll see. Again, as I'm closing, impromptu, just had these thoughts about the trade and Kevin Durant's career and Chris Paul's career as a whole. I felt like I wanted to talk about something as it relates to wrestling. I shouldn't have wrote it down. Oh, uh, what's the Shaq meme? I want to apologize. I wasn't familiar with your game. CM Punk, I apologize. Now I'm be a prick and say what happens, in the future. We don't know. But that match back, he looked good. I can't hold you. Even though it was a tag match, he only got like 2 minutes in the ring. Still was pretty good. Can't even lie. Can't lie to y'all at all. That was actually pretty nice. And I can't believe I'm saying pretty nice to FTR match, but it is what it is. So I enjoyed it. As far as collision long term, hey man, I seen what happened with WCW Thunder. All right, I lived through that. I went through that, so you don't have to go through that. We'll, yeah, I'm still not optimistic about this company's future, but No, I'm not trying to demean them. I'm just saying, there's a lot of decisions they can't make that are right. We'll see. The bloodline storyline, I'll just talk about that real quick. Yeah, they get me all the time. I've said in the past month, I want this to end, and I still feel that way, but hey, man, they get me. JB cutting a promo, soon to be WWE champion, Jay Uso. At this point, you got to do it. The tag matches at Money in the Bank. You got to do it at SummerSlam. Just give him a title shot. Why not? You ain't got nothing to lose. People gonna be mad, but when aren't wrestling fans mad? But give him the title. It's only fitting. It's been almost 3 years of him being pimped out by Roman. Give him the title. What you got to lose, bro? You scared ratings, dude? You just got bought for $9 billion, $11 billion. You can do whatever. People not watching, and then Disney might actually pick them up, especially because the writer strike is going on. They need something on Disney Plus, or Amazon might pick them up so they can have something on there for the live streaming when their TV deals are done next year. Yeah, sky's the limit. It doesn't matter what you do now. You just got to treat it like a TV show because it's going beyond wrestling. Again, he said sports entertainment decades ago. It is now sports entertainment. So I'm gonna continue my Jey Uso agenda for WWE champion because why not? And I like chaos when it comes to entertainment and stuff. But that's it. I think Indiana Jones comes out this week or next week. Let me look it up. I'm trying to remember exactly when it comes out. Give me a second. 5. What the hell? Is it really the 5th one? That's crazy. Oh, it's next week. This can't be 5. Oh yeah, it is. Oh, you know why I said that? Because you know why I said that? Because yeah, that 4th one doesn't exist in my mind. The only thing I like about it, if it were to exist, is that refrigerator scene when he just dived into the refrigerator during the nuclear testing facility. I might just watch that scene. Actually, I'm gonna just watch that scene right now when I'm done with this, and I don't want to see the rest of that movie. I don't think I could, you know, I don't think I could watch that whole movie. Being it's been years, I haven't seen it since it first came out, but I don't think I can do it. I will watch that scene. I might watch the movie. Know me. So no movies this year. I think that actually that Jennifer Lawrence movie come out. If y'all into rom coms, but I'm not watching that shit. I ain't seen a Jennifer Lawrence movie since I forgot the movie with her and Bradley Cooper. That's the last time I watched the movie. Otherwise than that, I'm not watching no damn Jennifer Lawrence movie. No disrespect. I'll pass on that, big fella. But again, thank you all for being here. Pardon the banks. I do not know the number. Just want to get my takes off about that. As usual, if you want to follow me, Pardon the Banks on IG for now. I'm sorry, it's the man called Banks on IG. The man right here, Banks on IG. TikTok, Pardon the Banks. I always tell people don't follow social media, follow God.